Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to HKU Information Day 2021 and welcome to the CAES booth. So once again, thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Lisa Chen, Senior Lecturer from the Center for Applied English Studies. Well, you may be aware that at HKU, all students have to take 12 credits of English. There's one 6 credits English course in the first year and another 6 credits English course in senior years. Well, we do have some participants right now. I'm sure there will be more who will join us. Well, you may start to question, I do not plan to study English or even literature at HKU, then why do I have to study English? This leads to other questions, I'm sure. For example, how important is English for university students? How is the English that students use at HKU different from what they learned in secondary schools? Or even how we, Center for Applied English Studies, can help you, support you to enhance your English academic literacy, or even to achieve academic success. If you find these questions interesting, well, congratulations, because you have made an excellent choice to join us this morning. I'm very, very delighted this morning to have 3 students with us, and they took the first year English course. And it would be good for them to be with me to share their learning experiences and also their responses to those questions that I just mentioned. So let me introduce them. First, we have Louis Wu, who is in his 3rd year for the Bachelor of Nursing. Would you like to say hi to us?
Morning, everyone. I'm Louis from Nursing.
Thank you. And next, we have Michelle Moore, who is also in her 3rd year for the Bachelor of Science, that is actually Bachelor of Actuarial Science. Michelle?
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle. I'm studying my 3rd year in Actuarial Science.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, we have Scarlett Wong, also in her 3rd year for the Bachelor of Social Sciences, which is a double degree, Government and Laws. Scarlett.
Morning, everyone. I'm reading a double degree in Government and Laws.
Okay, I'm also very happy to have my colleagues here with me. I have Caroline, who is also a very experienced teacher who has taught the English course COE for many years. Caroline, so we can say hi.
Everybody, good morning. Nice to see you all.
And also other colleagues like Albert, if you can say hi, as well as Grace.
Hello, morning, everyone. I'm Grace.
Okay, and also
nice meeting you all. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you. All right. Okay, so without further ado, let me start with my first question, okay, on the list. Now, Michelle, Scarlett, and Louis, I know you are in your 3rd year at HKU. So how do you see the English that you use here at the university different from what you learned in the secondary school days? Why don't we start with Michelle?
Thank you, Dr. Lisa, and good morning to all of you. So in my opinion, I think that secondary school English put the emphasis on the correct form of English usage that is more general and suitable for day-to-day use. For instance, English lessons in secondary schools may focus on grammar, sentence fluency, as well as the accuracy of answering the question. But they may not be practical enough for us to deliver our message in the academic world smoothly. So on the other hand, University English not only teaches us how to phrase our ideas in concise wordings, it revolves around rules that are important to the academic world, such as integrity and originality. So here in university, we learn about how to quote sources correctly that helps us strengthening our arguments while giving credit to the owners of the information. Some advanced skills in English writing will also be covered in the CAES courses, such as the difference in tones when we are preparing for an article or a report, the choice of words for formal writing to avoid biased descriptions, the structure of an essay that is easy to read while containing all the important information, to name it just a few. So University English opens a whole new dimension of English writing that builds on the foundation of secondary school English, which allows us to express ourselves freely and efficiently.
Yeah, very good. Well, actually, at university, students have to write a lot of academic essays and reports. So it's much, much more than just only personal opinions. And there will be times for students to read and also to respond to the reading. So just like what you mentioned, giving credit to other sources. So Scarlett, okay, how about for you? Okay, you're so special. It's a double degree, right? Government and law. So I'm sure that you've got something very interesting to share with us.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa, for inviting me, and good morning to everyone again. So I think on top of what Michelle has mentioned earlier, I think the biggest difference between secondary school English and what we learn in university is that in secondary school, or in particular in high school, when we're preparing for our public exams, I think we were trained to expand, let's say, our vocabulary bank, to solidify our language foundation and to enhance our fluency. When we get into university, I think fluency in English does not equate to the knowledge of academic English. I think the ability or the skills to be critical and to analyze things would be something that was not taught in secondary school.
Good. Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, thank you, Scarlett. How about Louis? You are, well, actually from the discipline of nursing. So how do you see the difference?
Thank you, Dr. Lisa, Michelle, as well as Scarlett. In my discipline, I'm not required to write a lot of written assignments or essays. Yet in the common courses, I'm still required to submit some essays for assessment. The major difference between tertiary education or university essays from those of composition in HKU IDay CUE is that the structure and the organization will be much more demanding. It is like completing the liberal studies paper 2 questions, if you all have an idea about it. Yes, the structure and organization is more demanding.
All right. Well, I would like to have a follow-up question. Well, can you say a little bit more about structure? Are you talking about the overall structure of the piece of written work or sentence construction?
I reckon with both of them, since it on top of Michelle, we have to deliver our idea concisely and precisely. So sentence structure and as well as the paragraph structure and the overall essay structure are all essential.
Yeah, you're right. Well, actually, for example, this semester I have 3 English classes with the first-year students at Hong Kong U. Well, it sounds very simple and basic, okay, in terms of the structure, introduction, main body, and conclusion. But is it that simple for university essays? When it comes to the main body, and then we really need to pay attention, close attention to the overall argumentation, counter-argument, more reading-based, right? So my next question is, right, well, actually, you were in my class, okay, when you took the first-year English course, okay, well, time flies, right, okay, well, for that English course, maybe a little bit more background for our participants this morning. So it's actually for first year, either in semester 1 or semester 2, a 6-credit English course. Somehow we call it EGAP, English for General Academic Purposes. We focus more on academic writing and speaking, like writing as in a report, because these are the 2 types of writing that are very common at university. And also for students to take part in tutorial discussions, that is academic seminars. Sometimes we also say that, well, students have to take research at the university, but it's not the primary research, not first-hand information, but secondary research. That is, you have to read to find out, okay, what have been done so far about the academic. For example, this semester, well, Louise, Scarlett, and Michelle, actually, like Caroline, you also, Grace, you know that, okay, like work-life balance, like online and offline teaching. Well, all these are very complex topics. So how do students respond to the readings? Well, this is what I would like to tell the audience about this English course. And then now you are in your 3rd year. So I would like you to share with us, how have you applied your academic English literacy skills to other learning contexts, like common core courses? Students, okay, at Hong Kong, you have to do the common core courses. And even for your disciplines, we have another English course, English in the discipline course, or for your, okay, own field. So can you share with us, how have you applied that knowledge? Yes, this is what we actually are focused today, that is about learning transfer. Okay, so let's start with Scarlett.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Lisa. So first of all, a little bit background information about me again. So I'm using a double degree in government laws, just in case some participants now didn't catch that earlier. So I basically do politics and law. So there are 2 degrees that I'm doing simultaneously. So I think CAES has helped me immensely on both of my degrees. So first of all, in terms of my politics degree, I think there are a lot of rigorous training and exercise on how we can critically read sources, which would be the foundation of our argument in academic writings. And on top of that, we also had other training on how to effectively paraphrase and appropriate use of academic sources. Lastly, a very practical skill that we were taught is how to use the system called Turnitin. This is a platform where most of the universities in the world would use to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism refers to copying the intellectual property or the arguments in other people's writings without acknowledging that. So for my second degree, my law degree, I think CAES has aided that immensely as well. I have learned from CAES how to articulate my stance very concisely and with precision. So as someone who was engaged, or I'm still engaged in public speaking, I think I learned how to focus more on being precise and instead of over embellishing my speech. So I think CAES really did help me on both of my degrees, and I encourage everyone to get.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Scarlett. Well, you mentioned a technical term, stance, right? Okay, well, we are all very familiar with this, but I'm not quite sure about, our participants. Well, stance is actually a well thought out opinion. Well, we do have our voice, and I'm sure that when you write, okay, well, it wouldn't be the problem. But is it well thought out? And also, is it based on reading? Well, it would be so simple, like, okay, online teaching is more effective than offline during the pandemic. This is actually our essay topic for this semester for the English course. Well, this is just only your voice, okay? But, okay, is it well thought out in the way that, okay, you can really justify it from different perspectives? So this is actually pretty challenging, all right? Okay, from my experience, especially for first year students, okay? They find it quite difficult, okay? Especially, okay, after, okay, being a secondary school student and now as a university student to really need to write an academic essay. Okay, how about Louis? I know nursing is a little bit interesting, right? Okay, I also taught nursing students some years ago. Well, do they have to write essays? How about verbal communications in the clinical setting? I'm sure that my participants this morning would love to hear more from you.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa and Scarlett. Unlike Scarlett, my major won't require me to do a lot of English written assignment. And in clinical setting, the majority language that used it will be Cantonese or Chinese, in other words. Yeah, but when I'm studying the Common Core courses, the skills that learns in CAES courses can be used again. There are the citation skills. Citation skills is like referencing, just something like what most of the senior students in here studying HKDSE liberal studies did in the IES, independent inquiry studies. Citation is very important for recognizing other scholars' work in your own essay. Apart from acknowledgement to those scholars, you could also use the strong ideas and renowned scholars to support your own thoughts. The citation skills I learned in CAES course also supports my Common Core courses learning. It might not support my major, but it supports my Common Core courses.
Louis, do you remember the citation skill that you learned in this English course?
Yes, CAES courses taught us the APA formats, also known as American Philosophy Association. For APA. Yes, it is one of the most common type of citation in the university, especially in HKU.
Yes, right. Sometimes we also call it author date method. For example, after a definition, a quote, and then, okay, we can have bracket churn, okay, my last name, and then 2021, which is the year of publication. There are actually different citation referencings. Okay, it is not individual preference. It's somehow dependent on your discipline. For example, like Scarlett, I'm sure that the citation style that you use in law is quite different, right? But we do introduce APA in our English course, which is like what Louise said. This is most commonly used citation referencing, and I'm sure that actually students have learned a lot because they really need to be more aware of the ways to acknowledge scholars when they have to cite others' ideas. Okay, how about Michelle?
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. So for my major study, which is actuarial science, it also requires less of essay writings like Scarlett, but more like Louis will usually do more calculation and computation. But just as Louis mentioned, all of us, all students may need to take something called Common Core courses, which is a total of 36 credits of courses that are of different disciplines in science, humanities, Chinese, about China, as well as about global issues. So for these different courses, I taught philosophy, as well as one for mental health and one for Chinese medicine. So anything of your interest can be taken during the Common Core courses. So during these courses, the CAES course has actually helped me a lot in brushing up my writing skills of writing those essays. So writing a report of your research requires a lot of careful execution in writing. And I believe that a lot of us struggle to find the balance between quoting evidence and writing about your stance, just like what Dr. Lisa has explained to us. So the university English courses will teach you how to form your sound arguments correctly and effectively. And the skills you learned can be applied in any courses ahead and even in workplace. So a little background about me, I'm actually taking a gap semester for a full-time internship, and CAES courses have definitely helped me to ace in job interviews as well as workplace. So for example, I'm more comfortable in conversations, group discussions, and presentations, as I was taught and trained to articulate my points of argument while keeping a formal and polite tone. So that is something very unique about the CAES courses, as it is one of the only courses that teachers will give you feedback on your verbal ability as well.
Thank you, Michelle. Very good points. Well, Michelle mentioned CES courses. In the chat room, okay, well, you can go and take a look at that. My colleague Albert also put down some information about what I explained, the EGAP, the first year English course, and also the other 6 credits English in the discipline course. So it's more tailor-made, especially for students from different disciplines. For example, Albert and I are on the dentistry team, so we teach them not essay, but research-based reports, okay, for community health, dental health. And then I'm sure that, okay, for engineering, it will be more with the reports, okay, for example, about specific engineering programs. So it's more tailor-made. Okay, so, this morning, okay, thanks a lot for those participants. I'm sure that, most of you are DSE students, right? Secondary school students, or maybe their parents with us this morning. Thank you once again. Now, I'm sure that they really wish to know your advice from Scarlett, Michelle, and Louis. Your advice to prospective students, how to achieve academic success, right? Definitely would be very beneficial for them. Well, I would like to first invite Louis to share with us, okay, your advice.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. Maybe I will share some advice at individual level. Individually, goal setting is very important. After setting your goals, you have to formulate some relevant action plans and got sufficient amount of preparation. But before you knowing the action plan and the preparation suits you and to help you to reach your goal, you might need to know about your way of learning, your style of learning. Recently, I have taken a learning style test called Honey and Monfort Learning Style Model Questionnaire. Upon the completion of questionnaire, the students will be classified into 4 major types of learners, including activists, theorists who value a lot on theory, reflector, as well as pragmatists. After knowing my own learning style, I'm able to adjust my learning plans and preparation method. Hence, I got a better efficiency in terms of learning and studying. I would say knowing your way of learning is always better than doing it in an unfamiliar way, like playing on your own turf, or I should say learning on your own turf is always better.
Yeah, that's very important, learning styles, especially for our English course, right? It's actually mixed classes, right? We have students, because it's an English course for all students, right, from different faculties. So it would be good, okay, actually for you all to know make some friends, right? And also, okay, CES teachers are very professional and inspirational. We have our very different creative and innovative teaching styles to cater to the needs of our students. Well, okay, Scarlett, how about you? You got some great advice for our students, right?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lisa. So I think in these 3 years, one thing that really helped me is forming a good study group, especially with your cohort. So the 2 degrees that I do are quite reading intensive, which means that I do a lot of reading. So I think roughly 100 pages of reading per week, or a bit more than that. We'll see. Depends on the topic of the week. So I think forming a good study group not only would offer you a lot of good mental support to help you go through this challenging but very rewarding degrees, but at the same time, you can divide workload between them and to which would be very useful in the long run, because we don't want to burn out. And in terms of advice to prospective students who want to take CAES or the English courses, especially to students who want to do law, I know that all law students are exempted, which means that it's not compulsory for them to join the CAES course. But then my advice is that I still encourage future law students to join this course.
Yes. Well, Scarlett, you mentioned study groups, right? Can you tell us a little bit more, right? I'm sure that the audience would like to know. So you actually with peers, right? Okay, you mentioned in the cohort. Can you tell us a little bit more how it works?
Yes, absolutely. So I think the habit of having a study group started not in uni, but a lot earlier. I have a good study group in my high school preparing for public exams. So I think a lot of participants here will take their public exams probably in a year or two. My advice is that you can start having a study group before you get into uni. For example, you can share resources that you have. You can share your expertise. For example, I was quite good at English in my secondary school, but then my biology classes, well, I'm not exactly good at that, so that's why I'm here in law. So I have a study group of roughly 4 people, I think. So I'll teach them English, and then they'll teach me biology and chemistry. So I think having a study group would again give you practical help, but at the same time, it will give you an outlet to relax, because talking to friends while learning interactively, will be very beneficial to your studies.
Yeah, peer support is very important. Even for our English courses, we always include some peer review, collaborative learning activities, because we know, well, it's not just only for you to read and write by yourself. Peer support, it's also what we teachers appreciate. Finally, Michelle, what's your advice?
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. My advice to all of you students will be a mantra of mine that I hold deeply in heart, which is small steps, but with great love. So it is very important to love what you're doing and understand the reason why you're doing it, why you're committing it. So learning is actually a privilege, and enjoying your education in Hong Kong U will be one of the best experiences in your life journey. So why would I emphasize on the word small? That is because working on small projects and smaller targets are oftentimes easier and more motivating. Just like what Louis just mentioned, he mentioned about goal setting, and that is part of like having small steps for yourself, and then after you aim one goal, and then you can just move on to another goal. So that is much more easier and much more motivating. So sometimes we're just lost in the situation, which I really resonate with you guys. I know DSE or any public exams is difficult to sustain and to work through. So you may start to question like on your own ability, and why are we all doing that? And we just need a momentum of courage to keep yourself going. Maybe I can share something about myself that may resonate with you. So I'm studying in actuarial science, which is a subject that heavily depends on mathematics and statistics. So I understand that math may not be your strong suit, or maybe your strong suit, I am not sure, but math actually requires a lot of small steps that builds onto the block of mathematics in your own. So if you understand calculus, then probably you will understand more about vector and more about different kinds of maths that you will learn later in your academic stage. So if you want to understand calculus when you're studying in primary school, that will be very, very difficult, right? So you just need some small steps to build on and to walk step by step. So I would really recommend you guys do one thing at a time, give yourself shorter targets but longer time, and that will bring longer commitment. So start prepare earlier and never give up.
Yeah, thank you. Very useful advice. I remember I also talked to Scarlett, and then she also mentioned reaching out to professors, to teachers, right? Okay, yes. So,
Yeah, maybe I
yeah,
can.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I can
Yeah,
share a
yeah,
bit more
definitely.
in that
Yeah.
regard. So I think specifically in the context of CAES courses, I had, for example, in my second assignment, I think this was 2 years ago. I'm not sure Dr. Lisa remembers this, but I remember having some trouble with doing my assignment on a report, I think, about bicycles in Hong Kong. I had some trouble with locating a source, and then I emailed Dr. Lisa on a Sunday, and she got back to me in like half an hour on a Sunday, which is a holiday for her. She has a very busy schedule, but she still, tries her very best to engage with students and help students with their, problems. So I think this is something I really appreciate about CAES is that the staff and the teachers here really do offer very kind support, way beyond what they should be doing. But yeah, I really appreciate how helpful the teachers are. And I think that if the students here have any troubles with their studies and in the CAS courses, the teachers here would be very happy to help you all.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yes, I'm sure my colleagues, especially those who are with me this morning, I can see Caroline, Grace, Albert, and even Jessica as well. Well, we're all very supportive. And also, actually, beyond the classroom, I just want to add on that, okay, we do have English support services. We have communication support services, writing center, speaking studio. We have online private courses. All these are free for UGC-funded undergraduates and postgraduate students. Well, so definitely say yes is here, okay, to help you along your journey to achieve academic success. Finally, I would like to invite Caroline. I know you have a follow-up questions, right? Okay, can I pass it to you?
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. Thank you all for sharing. I think we just have time for a very quick question. So my question is, can you think back to when you first started at HKU and the changes you experienced moving from secondary school English up to university level English in your studies? Can you think about those changes and how the CUE course might have helped you with those?
I think that the CAES course or the CUE course are actually very helpful for you to find new friends because it's suitable for all discipline students. So you would meet someone who is not only in your own faculty or your own discipline, but any student. So that's a good way to find new friends and bond with them.
Okay, thank you. Scarlett and Louis, anything to add on
Yes.
that?
Yes, certainly. So in high school, I actually did chemistry, biology, and economics. So I didn't do anything that is very language based. So I had a hard time transitioning into university to learn how to write academic writings or how to be critical to deliver a stance. Again, a stance means that an overall view that you take on a particular topic. So I had a hard time, learning how to write academically, and CAES certainly helped me with that. So again, my advice to students is that please take it in your first year.
So, similar to Scarlett, I also have a hard time before when entering the university, since my English back in secondary education is not very good, and CAS helped me to back to the basics and get the basic sentence structure, essay structure to be learned again, and it helps me a lot in the university later on.
Yeah. Thank you very much once again. Well, all very useful tips and also very meaningful learning experiences that I'm sure that my audience today will really appreciate that. From my experience of teaching Hong Kong U students, I know actually it could be quite demanding and challenging, especially for the first year, because even you're very proficient in English, but academic English could be quite some different. But again, no worries. CAS is here to support you both within and outside the classroom. Well, thank you once again, Scarlett, Louis, and Michelle, and of course my colleagues, especially Caroline, to ask questions. Well, time would not allow us to invite questions from the floor, but please visit our website. In the chat box, you can see our link, ces.hku.hk. And of course, today is Hong Kong U Information Day. Please visit CAES virtual booth. And also we do have a chat room there, If you do have questions, but not able to ask us, no worries. Okay, just go to the chat room. We'll be here with you until 6 p.m. Okay, thank you once again. Okay, and thank you for joining us. Okay, thank you. Have a very nice day. Okay, and good weekend. Thank you. Goodbye.